Jack Mallers just unlocked this $9.7 trillion market all towards Bitcoin. But first, before you hear it from me, we'll take a look at what Strike is doing and how it is revolutionizing everything that has to do with Bitcoin. And it's going to send the banks scrambling. Now, everybody thinks that this could be just for Bitcoiners, but I think the entire world, including the major banks, are keeping a very, very close eye on this. All right, of course, I'm talking about the major announcement from Jack Mallers and Strike today. Now, we're not going to sit here and watch this whole 17-minute announcement that Jack made, but I want to go over just some of the terms. So Jack is essentially now allowing Bitcoin to be borrowed, right? So fiat to be borrowed against your Bitcoin, which is absolutely changing the game. Now, a lot of people are going to discredit this and say, hey, all right, now legitimate people this is just what they want, right? I mean, we could sell our Bitcoin, just take away the capital gains. We want to exchange and transact. Well, traditional finance has been borrowing against their assets for decades on end. So this is something that is extremely needed for the Bitcoin space. And you can argue, okay, and I'll hear it, that these products have been here for a while, but I'm going to dive into why I think that this is more significant than anything else, because the overall commercial lending market is absolutely massive. Now, if you look at the commercial lending market, it was valued at $9.7 trillion in 2023, and it was poised to grow to $10.68 trillion. This was the most up-to-date figure I could find. I did not find the 2024 figure, so maybe if some of you guys found that, let me know in the chat. But either way, it's greater than 9.7 trillion because it continues to grow. And this market is growing exponentially, where they projected the growth to be to 23.06 trillion by 2032, with a computed annual growth rate of over 10% over every single year. So this is just an extremely growing market, right? So, but like I said, we've had this previously with other companies like Unchained and some others, where they've allowed you to borrow against your Bitcoin previously. The difference is just who Jack is. And excuse me, I got a freaking fly buzzing at me, who Jack has been working with here lately. As you guys all saw the news not too long ago, and if you didn't, I did another live stream on this previously, but Jack is now working with SoftBank and Tether, and a quiet partner in this who many didn't exactly look at, the Cantor Equity Partners. Now, who is a part of these Cantor partners, or who used to be, rather? Well, it's Mr. Howard Lubnick, the man, the myth, the legend himself, who is now in charge of the United States Sovereign Wealth Fund. Now, with that, right, Howard Lubnick's been a prominent figure on Wall Street for over 3 decades. He's got a lot of connections, and I'm sure even though he is now just the Secretary of Commerce, he's not necessarily getting away from all of that. Now, I want you to take a close look at Cantor Fitzgerald's portfolio as well. They've got 40% of their entire portfolio as a hedge fund in MSTR, or MicroStrategy. So just based on that, I think Cantor Fitzgerald does like the idea of borrowing against your Bitcoin in order to buy more Bitcoin, which is essentially what MSTR does. Now, we'll go over that flywheel here in a second, but this doesn't come without a lot of detractors, right? We're seeing Simon Dixon here go a little bit viral, saying, hey, are we doing this again? Where does the dollars come from? My bet is Howard Lubnick. Now I'll make this a little bigger so you guys can see it as well. The end game, push strategy into chapter 11 after Wall Street unleashes another round of financial weapons of mass destruction backed by bankster bond investors. The banks want your Bitcoin, and they're recruiting their team to get it from you. Debt and leverage is how they get you. Look, I'm not saying that everybody should utilize these products, but I think that this unlocks a massive market, which I stated a little bit here earlier for you guys, where I said this commercial lending market is absolutely huge. It changes the game for everything. We're going to see now billionaires want to buy Bitcoin because previously they were borrowing against their real estate portfolio or even borrowing against their stock portfolio. But even now, the main hedge funds, asset managers have been a little bit tentative lending against these IBIT ETFs or whatever it is. Now, on the flip side of things, this changes the game for banking, right? Because now we've got 21 founder and CEO who is in bed with Cantor Fitzgerald, Tether, which is one of the largest holders of bonds in the United States. And on top of that, SoftBank, all in one, now looking to get on this mission to maximize Bitcoin ownership per share. So you see, this is all intertwined now, where now 21 could essentially help fund and get this from Strike, where they can now get money from Strike and just kind of working back and forth. So all of this has been really under the works and extremely connected all at one. And I don't think a lot of people in the Bitcoin space are necessarily connecting this at all. But this $7 trillion market is absolutely massive. And that's because of what we see here, right? Those of you who have come to the channel quite frequently know that I love to show this, the MicroStrategy flywheel, where MSTR is issuing debt to buy Bitcoin. So what's that first step? They need to issue debt. They need to get some more debt in order to get Bitcoin. Well, Jack Mallers and Strike is allowing just any business to do that now for just a measly $10,000. Bitcoin's price increases, the value of MicroStrategy's market cap increases, or any company who is borrowing and gaining Bitcoin. The MSTR market cap increases and weights and indices. So not only will, maybe a Meta or something like that, but we could get thousands of Meta planets and other small businesses now getting on board with this. And so then MSTR will issue equity to buy more Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's price will increase. Thus, MicroStrategy's market cap will increase and the weight in the indices will increase. And as of 5 years, this article was written in December of last year, MicroStrategy borrowed $7.2 billion worth of convertible debt securities to double its share count to purchase Bitcoin. So this strategy has been used and continues to get used by MSTR. And what did Jack Mallers do? He essentially opened the floodgates for this giant market, this potentially $23 trillion market, to now borrow and essentially gain more Bitcoin. So this is going to start the flywheel and the never-ending effect. And I think that this is going to send banks in a tizzy, to say the very least. Now, you guys might all be asking, why does this mean $1 million Bitcoin here very soon? Well, you guys know and love, I like to talk about the Bitcoin multiplier effect, right? So every dollar that is put into Bitcoin, the current multiplier effect of their overall market cap is 6. But, I'm not expecting all of this $9.7 trillion to now all of a sudden get into Bitcoin. But on the flip side of things, we're going to start to see, Bitcoin get poured in. So we've got Bitcoin now at around a $2 trillion market cap. When we look at it, the assets ranked. So we've got Bitcoin at a $2 trillion market cap. I'm pulling that up for you guys here right now. So we've got Bitcoin at a 1.88, so around $2 trillion market cap. So if we just get, a few trillion in there, we could see 10x. So that 10x of that market cap would need 6 times less than $18 trillion, which is just $3 trillion. So a third of this entire balance that we have of the borrowing, if that is all shifted into Bitcoin overnight. Look, I'm saying, I know it's absolutely crazy, but it's less than this total market. And I know that there's going to be real estate and other things, but they see this market absolutely massively growing, right? So that money is now potentially $10 trillion. So less than a third of that. So we can see that percentage going to start going down and down and down. And that doesn't even mean on top of all the other plebs and everybody else who's buying in. That's just strictly from the commercial lending market. So unlocking this essentially brings a potential to the overall Bitcoin price of something that we're going to see as a massive, massive candlestick here. Now, stick around here for a little bit for me, guys, because I'm going to be giving you guys free sats here in the near future. But on top of that, we're seeing Bitcoin hold very strong. And this lending market is going to keep growing, right? I mean, we're seeing it. All right, Bitcoin not doing much, only up 0.5% so far today. But like I said, these markets are absolutely huge. Commercial lending is going to be growing. The increasing digitization of commercial lending processes, fintech innovations, and online streamlining the application, approval, disbursement processes, yada, yada, yada. The list goes on. Either way, these things keep growing in size, right? So we're seeing them globally. And what is Strike also? Strike is a very global brand. So if you look at Strike here, we go to their great website that Jack has put together. We could see that, all right, they're all over the globe. They've got it so many other places, right? So FAQs, getting started, where are they? Send globally. But either way, right, we're seeing Strike to, yeah, what countries are available for send globally. Look at this, right? Minimum transaction. Look at all these countries that we've got Strike already here to send globally. They've got a huge, huge market, and they are unleashing this borrowing market straight to the US. And they went into the full breakdown here of where this could be, right? So their business accounts is almost in the full United States currently, right? So they're going to start to see more and more of these pop up, more countries. Strike has all the access to all these different people. And we've got some goats in the chat already. So smoke that like Cheech and Chong if you guys are here already. So cheers, Paul and McLovin, the goats in the chat. Get your lightning wallets ready because I know we're talking about Strike, but I've got the Bitcoin well. Look, these guys are absolutely electric. They are some of the best to work with, and they're strictly non-custodial, which I think is the best way to go about your Bitcoin. Now, I think the Strike product is great for every single normie, but I do think that there are also programs and lending platforms and things like that. If you are more on the Bitcoin Maxi side, you want to help and hold your own keys, I think that's the way to go. But hey, I think that the Strike aspect really unlocks a lot of money and unlocks a new market of people that you don't really see. Now, I've got the Bitcoin well here, as I told you guys. So before I toss my wishing well token down the well, you guys should go to bitcoinwell.com/greencandle because as soon as you sign up, you could do this as well. You make your first transaction, you'll get 2 spins now. And then every single time you buy Bitcoin, if you set up a DCA, you buy $5 every single day or $10 every single day, you're going to start to get more of these wishing well tokens where you have the chance to win up to 1 million sats. So enough from me blabbing about how great this product is. Let's throw the wishing well token down there. Boom, 548 sats straight to your dome piece. And the great thing about the Bitcoin well is it's strictly self-custodial. So there is no counterparty risk. You don't have to worry about potentially failing or, the Coinbase paper Bitcoin attack that I love to talk about. And on top of that, they've got the best white glove service. So if you go to bitcoinwell.com/greencandle, you could go scroll on down after you see this great logo here. You could book a call with them and buy 50K worth of Bitcoin or more. And how are you going to store that? Well, I think the best way is Bitbox. You could go to bitbox.swiss/greencandle and do it today, where you can go buy now. Once you hit that, you can buy the Bitbox O2, which I prefer the Bitcoin only edition. Somebody asked me yesterday, does it come with Bitcoin? Unfortunately, it doesn't. But hey, you set up that DCA with Bitcoin, well, you can get it directly to cold storage through your Bitbox. And then you got to get your metal backup. So do it all in one. You can use promo code Green Candle, get 5% off your entire order to safely secure your Bitcoin. And why do I think that that's important? Well, I think and I know that's important because we've got some crazy money that is going to start coming to Bitcoin and coming to it right away, right? We've got already 21 who's come in and say, hey, they're buying 42,000 worth of Bitcoin. And that's just off the initial launch. They're buying in the background. So we're only going to hear about this once every quarter when 21 reports their earnings. So I think that this is going to continue to keep on pumping up and keep going. So I think you guys should honestly store your Bitcoin in the most secure way possible, which is holding your own keys, for Christ's sake, folks. So keep on doing that, and let's see what we got. We got some we got All Nighter Hider, and we got some of the goats in the chat, over 100 of you guys. So continue to smoke that like, because I think this money is all coming soon. And what we've seen from MicroStrategy, MSTR, they're continuing to buy and continuing to smash buy more and more and more. And look, let's be honest here. Michael Saylor is not slowing down. He keeps on buying, and they're currently doing, they've got KULR, that ticker now, buying their Bitcoin holding. Look at their Bitcoin yield that they've got here. They've got Strategy now doing a full Bitcoin for corporations, Semlar Scientific acquiring more Bitcoin, MSTR not stopping and buying more Bitcoin. And the publicity train just keeps rolling on with all these guys. And I don't know why, but this is not sharing anymore. So we're going to go back to here, and I'm going to share this for you guys. But essentially, we've got MSTR acquiring more Bitcoin. We've got Semlar Scientific. We've got KULR continuing to buy Bitcoin. But I think the big thing is that we've seen MSTR continuing to buy Bitcoin and not slowing down. McLovin's asking in the chat if I think Jack will rival Saylor. Look, I think that he has a chance strictly because of his connections and what he can do. But on the flip side of things, Saylor's got more access to money. But Saylor's also an old cat. Look, the reality situations, young Jack's got half his life left to try to continue to stack as much as Michael Saylor. So maybe when it's all said and done, Jack is able to do that. But currently, I mean, I think it's very hard for anybody to catch Michael Saylor at this point. And who knows, man? Jack has been also buying Bitcoin for quite a while. He started Strike a long time ago. So, yes. AMC asked, does Bitcoin have technology to send a gift of, say, $50 in Bitcoin to my 5-year-old nephew, like a PayPal account? This would help fuel crypto growth if there is an easy way to convert people to crypto. So that's a good question, AMC. So like on Strike or like on Bitcoin Well, for example, if your young 5-year-old nephew has a wallet, or that maybe their dad or mom is able to set up a wallet for them, you can more than certainly buy on Bitcoin. Well, you could set a recurring buy and have it sent directly to their wallet, wherever it is. Or you could do that on apps in the United States like Cash App, Strike, and others, right? So there's honestly like endless possibilities to do that. So it's more than possible to do that. So yeah. And Jack could be the new emerging Bitcoin superstar. To be honest, I think he's already a star. I mean, if you guys know me, I've had the chance to interview Jack, and I've been trying to get him to come and do another interview here soon. Maybe he will. But I think that we're going to start to see Jack really emerge into his own. And he's been a star for a while. He's been the headline speaker at the Bitcoin conferences and all around the globe, honestly. So I think he's going to continue to rise, right? His star is going to continue to rise, especially with the amount of money that we see back in him. So yeah, I think that this is going to be absolutely huge. And I think, as 21 is going to highlight, this borrowing in order to buy more Bitcoin or borrowing against your Bitcoin in order to make purchases and daily purchases, I think this is changing the game. So it's unlocking something completely different. And I think that this is going to be what we see here soon. Well, thank you guys all for joining me. And if you want to get some more live stream action, go over to my Macro Insights channel. I'm putting it in the chat here. And I'm going to be doing another live stream on what we saw with the Taiwanese currency absolutely collapse here in the next 10 minutes. So go ahead and check me out over there if you guys want to continue to join. Thank you guys for popping on in. Smoke the like, hit the subscribe with the bell notification so you guys know when I'm going live and you can get free sats. And tell a friend to tell a friend. Thanks, all you guys.